Thing rocking and rolling. YouTube, what's going on, YouTube?
Hi, guys.
Alrighty, and we're going live for the podcast. You ready? Yes. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Hernan here, host of the Business Bros podcast. I want to say welcome to another beautiful day, and I got my co-host
James here, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance. Thank y'all for joining us today. We are so excited. We have an amazing show, an amazing guest, and definitely a organization that I can relate with, right? We have today Miss Nancy Maldonado, CEO of the Chicano Federation of San Diego County. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
We're excited to be on the show.
I want to know all about this organization. We got so many questions.
Oh, yeah. So many questions, so much good conversation, so much good stuff's going to come from this. We know it.
But first, 365 pairs of shoes, ladies and gentlemen. We're still trying to raise 365 pairs of shoes. So if you have a gently used pair of shoes, I got it right this time, or you have new shoes, or you want to donate cash, hit James up 619-884-0045 or James at csfirst.com. He'll ride over on his Harley and pick up those shoes from you. So if you have any shoes you want to donate, remember these are for the homeless. So, if they're, high heels probably won't work, but something that they could use, definitely we'll love to take those off your hands.
Yep, exactly that. I don't have anything else.
That's it. That's the only
promo that's the only promo we got right now. No events coming up?
Not yet.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll throw something out there. Those of you insurance agents that are out there listening right now, we got the Agents Alliance Convention going to be coming up in Palm Springs at the end of September. That was a whole heck of a lot of fun last year. We were just talking about it, right? And it's coming up again this year. So come out and join us. I'm definitely going to be there. We're going to be there with the micro schools, trying to get as many pipeline agents to go out and come out and hang out, and it's always a great time. Lots of great people that you'll meet there.
You'll enjoy happy hour. Faux show.
I'll be there, so yes, it will be a show.
All right, let's get on with this. Nancy, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about your background, and then we'll lead up into, the Federation.
Sure. So actually, my entire background is health and wellness. This is the first time that I've ever not worked in health and wellness. So I have a master's in exercise physiology, and prior to working in a nonprofit, I used to own my own consulting company where I consulted with businesses on how to start their own wellness and fitness programs. So all of my life has been around health and wellness, and then I was working at a nonprofit, and I realized, I wanted to work with underserved communities, and we were going into these communities and talking about, eating healthy and exercising, and I realized it was really difficult to get this message across when these communities were, they had more urgent needs to worry about, like paying rent and childcare and, making sure that their basic needs were met. So when the opportunity came for me to make the switch and go to Chicano Federation, and I learned more about the organization, and that, they were already doing affordable housing and subsidized childcare and nutrition, I thought it was a really great opportunity for me to go to a community-based organization that was already addressing the critical needs of the community, and then eventually my goal is to bring more of a health component into the organization. But that's kind of how I made the transition.
Isn't it funny how life takes us in weird directions?
It's very interesting. If you had asked me, where I'd end up, I would have never imagined, but
Now I know. Now I definitely got to sit up straight around you. Right? The whole health thing. I was like, all right. Yeah.
Better check that posture.
I have horrible posture. I told you earlier. But no, I mean, that's amazing. I know, coming from, we're from a Hispanic community. My parents, my mom's from Mexicali, was born in Mexicali, got her citizenship here. My dad, it's funny, he's from Brownsville, Texas. And the only reason he's a citizen is because apparently grandma made it over, across the river before, he was born. So, I mean, we have very, very deep roots when it comes to Latino culture. And we've experienced a lot of different things from poverty, things from diabetes, things from lack of health insurance, things from not having a place to live, all these different things that are just part of our struggle, part of our life, part of our background, right?
Right.
And so, when we come across organizations like yours that can, basically give some education, give some little bits of knowledge, because they're in our culture, there's one thing you can definitely say about our culture is that we're not afraid to work, right? We're really, really good at busting our butt and get out there and doing some work. The problem is that's about the extent of what our culture has as far as advancing from generation to generation. It's just to get by. It's just to get by. So tell me a little bit about the organization. And I mean, you've already kind of hinted on some of the things. What are some of the bigger things that you've been pushing, that maybe have been going on, that you have events coming up or something like that help our Latino culture, get to the next level?
Sure. So, I mean, you kind of touched on it, right? As a culture and as a people, we love to work, but we also have this entrepreneurial spirit that Chicano Federation taps into. So one of the programs that we have, and we've had for a number of years, is we recruit or, engage women from the community, and we teach them how to start their own business, their own home childcare, right? Because, they can do that at home, and a lot of people in our community are already doing that. So we teach them how to turn it into a business and how to make money off of it, and it can be a very profitable business. And here in San Diego, there's such a shortage of childcare spots,
legitimate childcare providers, right?
Yeah. That are licensed, that are offering curriculum, that are teaching children. So we teach women how to do this and how to make money off of it. And then for us, for our organization, it's also a win-win because we have a couple of programs. So one of them, for example, is we partner with home daycare providers throughout the county. So if they take care of children from low-income families, we can reimburse them for the cost of taking care of those children.
It's a double edge right there. That's beautiful.
Right. So we teach them how to open their own business, and then we help them with keeping the business open, basically. And then we have another program where we're able to reimburse them for the cost of the food if they serve healthy food.
So, okay, this is like one of my favorite things to talk about. First of all, startups is like my thing. It's for me, it's the idea pops in your head. Once the idea is there, you just can't stop thinking about it. You wake up in the morning, you're thinking about it. You go to sleep, you're thinking about it. And it's one of those seeds that I love to plant. And the concept of giving stay-at-home mom, because oftentimes they stay at home not because they can't work, it's because it's a full-time job raising a family. It's tough to do that, and they have multiple kids, and sometimes it's the tia or the mom or the cousin that stays home with all the kids from the family, right? So turning this into a business, there's a lot of aspects to child daycare that are difficult to come by. That's the reason why many people don't do it. Things like permitting process, things like passing, inspections in your home to make your home child proof, and even things that are to their benefit that they might not understand yet. Like how much of that house is deductible? Well, it depends on how many hours you own the daycare, right? How many hours are you doing? Are you operational? Because it's different, and when it comes to the different tax applications, now all of a sudden you have a small business. Now you're not a normal 1040 person. Now you have a Schedule C. Now you have to, start bookkeeping and keeping track of what income's coming in and sending out the receipts at the end of the year. I mean, there's a ton that goes into it. Like I said, my mind goes crazy with this stuff, right? But how much of that stuff is the Chicano Federation helping them get, understand that side of the business? Right.
So in the beginning, we teach them all sorts of things like, business law, how to do their taxes, how to even create a contract. But then, one of the things that we just recently did is we partnered with the Women's Business Center, who offers all of those services, and they can be ongoing services. So we, will eventually have someone that's staffed at our office that by appointment only, people can come in and get advice or, whatever problems or situations or challenges they're having with their small business. They have someone there that can help guide them through that.
How important is that? Like legal counsel, right? You're talking about?
Yeah. Or if, just business advice, and then they can offer resources on where to go for that specific challenge
question.
That they're having.
Yes. Because that could be a lot of different things. I mean, all those things are immensely, invaluable. Like I can't put a price on that sort of advice because, and here's the other analogy that we always talk about in the Latino culture. We always talk about the crabs in the bucket analogy. Yes. You know what I mean? And it's funny and it's not funny at the same time because, you might have somebody who has been taking care of the kids for a while. And all of a sudden the idea pops in their head like, oh my gosh, I can actually do this as a living. But then you also get the rest of the, people around you telling you things like, who do you think you are? Like, you can't make money in this. Like,
Right.
what do you, you know, and it's funny, but it's true, right?
It's true.
Like, what, you think you're in business now? Like, what, you think you're better than us? Like, this sort of mentality, you know, and to help somebody not only with the idea, the concept, and then the implementation, but also supporting them in understanding that this is just something that happens regularly. You need to push through these phases. And I feel like oftentimes more so the women are more susceptible to that kind of ridicule because of the machismo in our culture, right? Like, you need to make sure dinner's on the table, the house is clean, like you don't have any business, you know, going out and starting a business. Earning the revenue comes from my side. Right. So how much of that stuff are you guys able to, you know, nurture and help get, you know, past that?
Well, you know, a big part of it too is because we already have such a network of women who have done this. Mm-hmm. So it's that when they all come together and help empower each other and talk about, no, I've been doing this. I mean, we have women who have been in our programs for 20, 30 years. So if they're able to share their stories of, this is how I started, this is how I overcame these barriers. And we have conferences every year where we bring all of these women together, and they already know each other because most of them have been in our programs for such a long time. So we just recently had our annual conference, and it was really powerful to see all these women come together and share their stories, but also to kind of motivate and inspire each other, right? And if I've been doing this for 30 years, you know, someone who's new and just started, you can do this. Absolutely. So it's building that camaraderie and that community, and also having resources so that when you're having these challenges, they can go to each other and they know that. And it's really powerful to see.
Well, yeah, having that network.
Yes.
So I love the fact that in almost any culture, no matter what, storytelling is vital, right? Mm-hmm. It's how we pass on our heritage. It's how we pass on our culture. Right. It's how we, you know, it's the things that are entertaining. You can do them by the campfire. You do them around the, you know, while everybody's making tamales at Christmas, right? The stories are being shared. Sometimes they're chismosa stories, but sometimes they're good stories, right? Stories are stories. One of the things that we've been working on is trying to develop a way to visually tell these stories. Mm-hmm. So we're coming up with a couple different projects that we're working on to help people with telling their story. Not, you know, part of it is, standing on stage and sharing it. The other thing is, what if we documented it? What if we took all this information, took all your story, you know, walked you through the whole process? We had a video documentation of everything you're doing, so you can share with these type of people. Right. How do you think that's something that people in your organization would be open to?
Absolutely. I mean, well, some people, right? We just had one of the a person in our program reach out to us and say, I really want to share my story because it is so powerful, right? And we actually did do a video of it, and it was a resident who was in our affordable housing program, because that's the other thing that we do is affordable housing. And she started off with a small home childcare. She went through our program. We taught her how to open her own business. She also enrolled in our nutrition program. So she was in affordable housing. She was getting kind of a subsidy for the nutrition. And she wanted to share with us that she was now in a position to buy her own home. And it was because of the income that she made and, you know, the programs that she was able to enroll in. And it was so great for her to share that story, and for us to be able to see and go into her new home and look at it and feel it. And I you know, to your point, I think it's really different to see it. Mm-hmm. It really helps you feel kind of what her experience was and how much our organization helped to get her there. So I love what you're saying about really like filming and seeing these stories in action, because I think it makes it come to life. Yeah,
videos that I like to. It's like that Disney magic, right?
Yes.
Right. You just all of a sudden it's here, right? Yes. You tear up, or you really get choked up, or you smile, or you laugh. Whatever it is that they're going through in their emotions, it transcends through that type of video content. Well, cool. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about the affordable housing, and it kind of parallels with the video stuff. So. California passed some new regs recently about the AUDs, about the additional auxiliary units. Right. And those are awesome. And I'm thinking about it we're working on a program where we have a lender that we work with. Shout out to Anthony Ramirez, who's trying to put together stuff to help Latino families, you know, qualify for homes. And one of the biggest issues is the financing. Either a couple things. Either you get paid all cash, right? Or you haven't filed tax returns, or whatever it is. Or maybe you do have income, but you need a little more income to qualify because the places in San Diego are super expensive.
Right.
So we have a program that we've been working on and that we want to document all the way through for, families that are interested in doing this, that we can essentially buy them a home that is could be in the worst condition. But we get the financing in place for them. We do all the rehab for them. We get them to a position where we add an additional unit for them. And now you have an additional unit that has rental income. And that rental income, coupled with whatever income they had, all of a sudden qualifies them for the property. Right. And then, this is a whole path. Taking somebody who never even thought about the possibility of having a home, getting them to the point where now they have a home that they've had input on how they wanted, and it's supreme, it's clean, it's brand new. And they have an additional income source coming in. Like now, if that in itself is magical. Yeah. But we want to take it one step further, and we want to say, look, your mortgage was X amount of dollars. Now with your rental income, you're saving an extra X amount of dollars. What are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? And now it's opening the eyes of, have you ever heard of things like life insurance or investment portfolios or things, opening the mind of somebody who's never heard of these sorts of things before to build true long-term generational wealth.
Right.
Because they're capable. They work very hard.
Absolutely.
So, you guys are doing affordable housing. Tell me a little bit about that, and then, I'll jump back into this other project, because I think they work very well hand in hand.
So Chicano Federation owns 9 apartment buildings in central San Diego. And so we are able to offer those at below market value rates. And we do pride ourselves on the fact that, we've stayed on the lower end of that range to keep it really affordable for our tenants. And, it's funny because people ask us about our waiting list, and it's 1 to 2 years, which for San Diego is actually really great.
Yeah, 'cause Section 8, I think, is like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
it's
10
up
years
there.
now. So,
yes.
yeah, it's way up there.
But the reason that our waiting list is so short is that people tend to income qualify out. So after they get above a certain income, they don't stay.
Which is a beautiful thing, by the way.
Exactly. Yes. So, we are proud of that. But so, yes, we have 9 apartment buildings that we have that are all affordable housing. 2 of them are actually for seniors, and 1 is for individuals with disabilities.
Oh, see, and I love the fact that I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that when you get a tenant that comes into one of your places, it's almost implied that this is not long term. This is your step up, right? This is not. We don't want you addicted to a system.
Correct.
We want you to use this as a stepping stone to get you in a position where you can take advantage of whatever it is that you're doing, and just know that right now you need that little bit of help.
Absolutely. So yes, we do pride ourselves. It's in our mission that it's all about empowering our community, and it's all about self-sufficiency. We want people to get to the point where they are self-sufficient, and, everyone needs a little bit of help sometimes. So we're there to help people with that step up.
That's beautiful. So how often do these tenants, how long do they tend to stay, normally?
It varies. We do have some tenants that have been there for a number of years, and then we have tenants that are able to move out after a few months. So it really does vary and depend on the situation, on the property. Everyone has a very unique and individual story.
That's so beautiful.
It is. I have really the honor and the privilege of hearing some really impactful stories of people who come to our organization, just needing help, and are able, after a few months, are able to make it on their own, and they just needed a little bit of help for a short amount of time. And that's really what we want to be, is that resource, but also to help people know what else is out there, right? Because there's so many amazing organizations in San Diego doing some really great work. And the problem is, a lot of the times our community doesn't know about them. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing that we try to do, is make sure that we're providing resources and referrals and, information about other things that are out there that could be really helpful depending on what situation someone's in and what needs they have.
Well, that's kind of, you hit it right in the head. That's kind of a major problem with a lot of nonprofit organizations, is that commitment to exposure. It's almost like I hate to say it, but it's almost bureaucratic in the sense that the way you promote yourselves tends to be really old school, right? It tends to really be very word of mouth. It tends to really be paper oriented, when today there's so much stuff like this, right? Like
Yes.
a podcast, like ad spend on, Instagram and
Right.
Facebook and those sorts of things. So how do you think, how beneficial would it be for you guys to have somebody to come in and like sit down with you and say, look, this is who do you want to target? Who's our target audience here? And then spend some time, generating kind of content that you need to get that message out there. Because I think it's vital. I think it's vital. And I think your waiting list should be longer and because of more exposure.
Right.
And also, and I think it's twofold. One is exposure of what you offer.
Mm-hmm.
The other is how to get involved.
Yes.
Right? Because
absolutely.
it works. There's both ends of the spectrum there. There's the donor side and then there's the consumer side, right? You need exposure for both.
Yes.
What are you guys doing right now for that kind of exposure?
So I just got the permanent CEO position in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we did consult with someone. We brought on a PR firm to help us. And, it was really kind of around our 50th anniversary, because this is Chicano Federation's 50th anniversary year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just had our 50th anniversary ball in May. So we brought someone on to kind of help with the promotion of that event, but also to get the word out about who we are and what our organization is, because I think, back to your point, we hadn't traditionally done that. And that's so important for a number of different reasons. So we did bring someone on to help with that. Obviously, in terms of exposure and marketing, there's always more to be done. But we did start to do a lot more social media, right? We did do the ads on Facebook and Instagram to get, especially those younger followers who might not necessarily have heard of a 50-year-old organization, right? Especially one called Chicano Federation. I mean, a lot of times the younger generation doesn't relate to that term. Mm-hmm. So we are doing some things around that. Obviously, more to be done. And if there was, anyone that wanted to come and help us with our marketing, I'd be more than open to that. But a lot more work to be done in terms of, where we're shifting and where we're moving for the next 50 years and what our organization, what we want to look like and what we want to represent.
I think honestly, it's your stories that are going to shape the difference.
Yes.
That's your PR campaign should be 100% centered around your story. Your brand should be 100% about the people who you've helped. Yes. And the people whose lives you've changed and the ones who have benefited because of that. Like 50 years old, right?
Right.
I mean, that's old enough to have grandchildren.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there are stories of generations of, if it wasn't for this, my life would be so different.
No, you're right. And one of the things I love about this organization is that I can't go anywhere in San Diego without meeting someone who has some connection to the organization. It was either I used your programs or I know someone who has, or, I used to be a board member. That's one of the things I love about Chicano Federation is it feels like everyone has a connection to it. But you're right, those stories, because I'm telling you, I've heard some amazing, powerful stories, especially when it comes to children, right? Because most of the work we do is with children, and the stories that we hear of the children who have been impacted. In fact, just last week we had our health insurance, right? We were renewing our health insurance and for our employees, and we had a person come in to do the presentation on what the health benefits are, and she had gone through one of our programs. And it was so cool to hear, here she is, she has this great career, and she had gone through our preschool program many years ago.
That's amazing.
Yes.
See, I mean, again, those are the lives that you've changed, right? Those are the stories that we want to tell. Those are the stories that you get to impact. And there are so many people that are already involved. I'm sure your email list is huge. So there's a lot of things that you guys can do to grow within,
right,
and then also expand outward. I think I honestly, I think it's such a beautiful thing. Let's shift all the way back to the beginning. Okay. So your background is in health.
Yes.
And fitness.
Yes.
Right? So one of the biggest issues with I say it as a joke all the time. It's funny, but probably not. But I'm gonna say it anyways. It's my show. I'm gonna say it anyways. You know why Mexicans have heart disease, diabetes, and obesity? You know why it runs in their family?
Well, I have my theories, but I'd love to hear yours.
Because nobody runs in our family. Boom. There, I dropped it. Dang.
Actually, I disagree with that.
Well, it's changing.
Yes.
See, and that's the beauty of things like the internet, things like the education system, because those things are changing. Like my kids, my son eats grapes like crazy. He doesn't want to eat chips. They don't drink soda. I have a bunch of soda down there because of his birthday party, and literally it's about to go down the drain because my kids don't drink it, right? And that's great.
Yes.
That's great. But again, it's a culture shift. When I grew up and I would go to grandpa's house, there was always soda.
Yes.
Right. And, it's just a generational shift. So, that's one things I wanted to get back to you on was as the CEO, now that you're seeing some control, now you're getting an overlay. Now you've probably, as a CEO, spent some time just observing.
Yes.
Right. And getting to know the processes. But what do you think, how do you think you're going to start implementing some of the health strategies? Because I think those are kind of vital.
Absolutely. Well, I think we have a really easy opportunity to, like, for example, in our affordable housing, right? Bringing in a health component and health programming and education. But, back to your point about, so as a culture, we're very active people.
Yes, we are.
So I think it's really looking at like the nutrition and the other pieces of it, right? Because stress has a lot to do with it, like the emotional well-being and
what about
health.
Convenience?
Yes. Absolutely.
Because right. Honestly,
yes.
It's going to cost me $5 to go to Jack in the Box and get 5 hamburgers, and everybody's not hungry anymore. And if I do that every day, they might run and swim and jump and do all that stuff. But if I'm feeding them processed food the whole time, every single day, but in my case, I can change that up. And other people, $5 is a lot, and it changes. It's that different dynamic.
Yes. And so one of the things that we've started to explore is those partnerships and those collaborations, right? Because there are organizations that are doing really great work around providing healthy, access to healthy food for low income communities. So making sure that our communities know about those resources and have those available. So, for our affordable housing, that's a very easy opportunity for us to provide that education, bring in the resources to them. And then, it all starts, I'm a big believer in that a lot of these habits and a lot of this starts in early childhood, right? So we have that opportunity because so many of the children that we work with are, we're in early childhood education, making sure that these children are learning about these habits and these things that they can do from a very early age and learning about the importance of it. That's one of the reasons that I love our nutrition program. We are ensuring that thousands of children every single day are getting healthy meals when they're in their home childcare. And it benefits not just the children, right? Because they're eating healthy, they're learning about the importance of eating healthy, but it's also helping to keep a small business in business because we're helping them offset the cost of expensive, healthy food. So that's one of the reasons I love those programs, but there's so much more that we can be doing. And I think teaching children from an early age is key. Yeah. So good job to you for teaching your kids not to drink soda.
I wish I could take all the credit. That was mostly the wife. I'm a big water drinker.
Yes.
So I drink water all the time, but she's the one who really pushed on let's not have sugary stuff in the house, and I can't say that's great for all the things my kids do, right? Because my daughter will eat some Nutella like there's no tomorrow, right? But there's at least it's I think again it's generational, right? They understand that what they're doing is right and wrong, and that there's moderation in between versus before, and that to me again that's the beauty of having like internet access. The internet is a huge it's the game changer of our century. It's the medium that opens up the door. And I say this all the time. When I was a kid, the most information I ever got was the encyclopedias that my mom bought. Right. If I stepped in the library, right? And the friend that maybe knew everything, right? That was the extent of my education. But today, the kids have access to so much information. Information is commoditized. There is no reason why you can't find anything out that you don't want to find out. So I think naturally these good habits are working their way to the top. The cream rises. Right. And so they're working their way to the top, and kids are kind of understanding that I can make a change in my life. And if we can also say, look, this is good information. By the way, there's more from this organization, and there's opportunity at this organization, and you can get this from this organization. I think those things are going to be, major game changers. Because I work with high school kids, and there's some kids that come to me and they, they'll tell me things like, I've been living in a motel for the last, 3 months. I don't have internet access at this time.
Right.
Things like that you don't understand at first glance.
Right.
That you have to dig a little deeper. And if they maybe knew that some opportunities were around, I mean, life-changing for sure.
Yes. And I think it goes back to your point where there's, especially nonprofits aren't doing enough to market what they do. I'm always amazed when I find out like new nonprofits and the services that they offer. And I always think, why didn't I know about this? Why don't other people know about this? I think that we can all do a better job of talking about what we do and about collaborating, because there's so much great work being done here. I wish that our communities knew more about what's out there.
Well, I'm going to definitely put you in contact with Anthony, because we're going to be launching the school program, and we specifically want to focus on...
they are already in contract. He commented and said that Minerva is working on it with him.
Oh,
Perfect.
there you go.
Yes, she's one of our board members.
Boom.
Boom.
Like I said.
See how that works?
Yeah, see? Community, right? Community. It's already there. Right? 6 degrees of separation. Not here. Not with the Chicanos. We have like half a degree of separation. No, well, thanks again for being on the show. That makes it easy. That was going to be my...
Right?
Thanks, Anthony. That was my last end right there.
Thanks, Minerva.
Yeah, all right, cool. Well, do me a favor. Last little bit. Look at your camera. Ignore your little calendar notation. But look at your camera and go ahead and tell people, how do they get a hold of you if they either need your resources or if they want to contribute in any way?
Absolutely. So yes, our website or our phone number, so it's ChicanoFederation.org is our website, has all the information on our programs, has different ways to contact depending on what program somebody might be interested in. And then in terms of getting involved with our organization, obviously, we are always looking for, donations for volunteers. Any money that we raise goes towards supporting our programs and towards building capacity, because our programs are always full, which means that there is definitely a need here in San Diego. So any money that we raise goes towards our programs and allowing more people to enroll in our programs, and allows us to help more people. And then in terms of volunteers, we're always looking for individuals to get involved, to lend their talent, their, whatever, resources that they have to the organization, so that we can not just improve the quality of the programs that we already have, but also add more programs and bring in more resources for the families that we serve, because there's always more that we can be doing to empower these families and help them to really break this cycle of poverty.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you from my personal experience, I'm sure you've had the same, James has had the same. When you change somebody's life, when you're able to give something to somebody that to you might be minuscule, but to them changes the entire world, something like as simple as giving somebody a blanket, giving somebody shoes, or, opening their eyes via an education or some sort of stuff. This is the reason why we have the podcast. This is the main number one reason. And if you've ever heard any of our shows in the intros, our number one rule is to be of service to others. And that's really ultimately what it comes down to. So if you ever do that, I promise you, you're going to feel a type of joy in your heart that it's more addicting than any drug out there. And then anything that you've ever done in life is to bring that kind of joy, to be of service to others, to give. So if you guys have any place in your heart, and maybe it's not this organization, but it could be any organization, get out there and do something. Be of service to others. Be helpful. Be mindful, and enjoy life, because that's what it's about. It's about sharing it with other people. So Nancy, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I had so much fun. We didn't even have to talk about Chucky.
We will.
Drop that one at the end.
I had to. All right, ladies and gentlemen. On a happier note, or another note, make sure 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year. So if you have any shoes, reach out to James, 619-884-0045, or james@csfirst.com. He'll ride over in his Harley, pick up those bad boys. And of course, for all your insurance needs, whether you need life, health, business, personal, whatever you need, 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. And if you want to add insurance into your particular business because you want another revenue stream, hit them up for those types of things too. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you guys today. Oh, wait, I don't. I have one more question. Who do you think would be a good podcast guest?
Ooh.
I forgot about that one.
Good job.
Oh, last minute, huh?
Last minute. Good save. Good
Well,
save.
since we already dropped her name, why don't you invite Minerva on here?
That's
All right.
Yeah.
Minerva it is.
Boom.
All right.
Tag. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And I'm out. Thanks, Facebook.
Thanks,
Love you
Facebook.
guys.
Love you guys. Mwah. Love it.
So what'd you think?
Good. It's fun.
Fun?
Yeah. Easy. Easy.
So